Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, the DAIC welcomes the lifting of the curfew but wants fiscal incentives and an investigation into post-Maria policing. Hurricane Maria sends government back to the drawing board after it approves $8.2 million for sporting facilities, and concern in the bay oil industry over sourcing funding for the revitalization of that business. We'll have details after this.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001-275-5003 today.
Do you need more cash for that home improvement? Then come to Fast Cash, where we give you more. At Fast Cash, our customers get more funds and more time to repay. But wait, can't come to us? We'll come to you, and our mobile officer will get you on your way. Small businesses, consumers, and taxi owners, Fast Cash has more for everyone. Simply call or visit any of our locations for more. Smarter, faster, better. Fast Cash. Terms and conditions apply.
Well, we'll get to the other developments in just a moment, but first, the body of a Maho man was fished out of the Makushi River on that's very early Monday morning. That's after the police called off a search on Sunday. Idona John Baptist has more.
Police PRO Inspector Pelham John Baptist said that 67-year-old Edmund Basil was washing a vehicle with a friend at about 4:30 p.m. on Sunday when he disappeared. A search for several hours on Sunday night at the Makushi River by fire and police officers with the help of an excavator did not lead to any signs of Basil's whereabouts. A passerby located the body on Monday at about 7:30 a.m. under the Makushi Bridge before the official first responders could return to the scene. Police and fire officers eventually arrived to fish the body out of the river. The police PRO said investigations are ongoing into Basil's death. Idona John Baptist, Channel 5 News.
And the Dominica Association of Industry and Commerce welcomes the lifting of the curfew, but emphasizes that there are other urgent matters which they need to pay attention to.
The 3-month curfew was lifted on Friday, December 8th, leaving the public to go about their business without being restricted indoors to a 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. period. Dominica was placed under a curfew as a state of emergency was declared following the devastation by the September 18 Hurricane Maria. The end to the curfew comes as the police chief considers the city of Roseau is returning to a state of normalcy, with electricity being restored to a number of areas. In a press release on Friday, stamped by the Minister of Justice and National Security, it noted that there's a need to create an environment that encourages economic activity, bearing in mind that we are in the Christmas season. Businessman and Public Relations Officer for the Dominica Association of Industry and Commerce, Kenny Green, says that's a good sign that security around the city is improving.
Firstly, I think it's a positive step. I think just for the psychological boost of security coming to a better place, and also for people being able to actually go about and socialize and transact to later hours. That's a positive. People still have to be vigilant. I mean, it doesn't mean that the security situation is just totally back to normal, but what it does mean is that there's a level of confidence in terms of the security services that people will go about their daily lives without actually disrupting others.
Green maintains the issue of the curfew is the least of the private sector's concern going forward.
I mean, in terms of the things that really matter to the private sector, it's one of the smaller ones, because really monetizing the private sector after what has happened, from the hurricane is the priority. But as I mentioned before, the psychological boost, especially for young people who, it's very tough for people to constantly be in a mode of attrition and resilience. People do need to go out and have some fun and be able to feel like they're getting back to some form of reality.
President of the Dominica Business Forum, Severin Mackenzie, said the private sector still awaits a public investigation by government on the failed response by its security arm in the aftermath of the disaster.
I believe what the private sector is concerned about, those who were brought to their knees as a result of the looting, and those who are presently out of business with hundreds of workers out of work, and many who do not know when or if they will ever get back into the business. This is the foremost concern right now. And the other thing that the private sector is asking is, what is being put in place that come the next hurricane season, when if we are subjected to another event, that if they build back between now and then, that the same thing will not happen again.
And just like the bay oil industry was starting to thrive following Tropical Storm Erica, Hurricane Maria has brought that industry back to square one. Andrea Louis has more.
A few months after the tropical storm of 2 years ago, works got underway to repair 10 artisan distilleries for bay oil production. President of the Central Oils and Spices Cooperative Society Limited, Philip Geist, explained that upgrade works on the 10th bay oil distillery was completed the week before Hurricane Maria.
Prior to Maria, we had just repaired 10 distilleries, which was completed, I think, the last one a week or two prior to Maria. We had sought some resources from government and ourselves as Essential Oils and repaired 10 distilleries post the last storm we had in 2015. So we were in the recovery mode and looking forward for construction of a new distillery. And here comes Maria. So Maria destroyed the 10 distilleries we had repaired, and in addition gave damage to our vehicles and took our roof of the office. So the office received serious damage, and we also had visits by looters. So they took the diesel from the truck, they took some oil we had. But however, we are moving in again to start again. We are looking forward to our AGM sometime at the end of September. That has not been held since. So Maria have done serious damage to us. But we are moving and we hope that we can recover. And we try to put a package of assistance together for some members to see if we can assist some members with the liquor that we have. So the board met, and that we have taken into consideration, and the manager is working on something so the board can review and maybe get some assistance to members. The bay trees suffered serious damage. They were the lift. So, but they are springing back rapidly. So sometime next year, around April, I would think the farmer will be able to harvest someday. But however, we have no distilleries. So we are trying to see if we can find some money to at least even though it's do one distillery per district, so we can be ready for the farmer when the farmer is ready sometime in next year, God's willing. So we hope by the time May comes, the leaves will continue to spring harder, and for August, when school is closed, farmers can reharvest their bay.
You mentioned that the 10 distilleries you got up and running before Maria were completely devastated. How heavily utilized were these distilleries, or how much of use were they to the farmers before Maria?
We got a lot of our bay from districts all over Dominica, Portsmouth, Port-Soufriere, Delis, and to a lesser extent Port-Savan and Port-Savan, Bacatella Bay. So those distilleries were heavily used because they were more user-friendly, and we intended to put some cranes onto them to make it more easier access, less labor intensive for the farmer, That we didn't have time to do. I mean, thank God we didn't have time to spend the money on. But we have the guy from England who was working on some of those equipments for us. We'll continue, so when we repair the distillery, we'll be able to install the equipment so we can make it less labor intensive on the farm.
Geist says several partners have expressed interest in helping the Bay oil industry get back on its feet. However, the process of accessing funds can prove a hindrance.
Well, several partners are showing interest in assisting, but it's to some persons show interest, and at the end of sometimes the process to draw down resources sometimes can be so exhausting that sometimes both parties actually give up. But we have friends. I was so happy to have heard Mr. Vincent from the Small Business Unit give mention of essential oils and the Minister of Small Business, because we got some money from them. So we hope there's some package of assistance coming to small manufacturing that Essential Oils and Spices Cooperative can be considered, because we brought in serious foreign exchange to Dominica. So it's something that government should look at in assisting Essential Oils and Spices Cooperative with a large membership of 300 to 400 members, actually earned serious income from Distilling Bay. So we hope government, so we are in the process now of doing a Bayram factory. We had the Doom on island prior to Maria. It was in a container, it's all okay. Our problem is the shortage and the lack of cement, the readiness of cement to accelerate the construction. As I speak, construction is ongoing, and so we hope by the end of the year that building will be up and running, and we'll be able to start the process of Bay Rum. That is a byproduct of the Bay oil.
Where are you hoping to erect this?
So we are erecting this building just opposite Cots in Castle Comfort, okay, on the driving up on your right hand side. Okay. So we hope that building can be erected. The function was already ongoing. We are putting a little portion of it for our office space in the interim, while we will be able to do some work on the office, the roof of the office in Castle Street.
Reporting for Channel 5 News, I am Andrea Louis.
And government has approved $8.2 million for the construction of development of sporting facilities in the last financial year. But as Kenny Williams reports, Hurricane Maria has brought them back to square one, back to the drawing board.
At a press briefing on Monday, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Sports told that government has to re-strategize the way forward for sports here. The ministry says it will give attention to the priority areas moving forward.
Given the utter devastation caused by Maria, government has to revise its programs and projects in order to determine what changes need to be made, as priorities have shifted and the focus is now on rebuilding better and in a more climate resilient manner. For the Windsor Park Sports Stadium, we had two projects that were approved. One was the lighting of the playing field, or improvement of the lighting of the playing field, and also the construction of a new gymnasium. And work had already commenced in terms of getting quotes for the lighting, sourcing quotes for the lights, and the tendering process for the construction of the gym was ongoing at the time. The covering of the Massac basketball court was another much talked about project that the ministry was undertaken, and we were also at an advanced stage on that project. Even if you may not have seen a lot happening on the court, but we had already given a 50% down payment to the Trinidad manufacturers, and substructure works were ongoing in preparation for the installation of the steel frame roof. And the targeted date for receipt of the steel components was September 30th of this year, and the targeted completion date for the project was supposed to be October 30th. So if Maria had not passed by, Massac basketball court would be up and running.
The site is currently being used for the storage of utility poles as Domlec continues to restore power to communities in the area. Meantime, an updated assessment of Windsor Park Sports Stadium revealed the cost of renovation to be over $6 million.
We have received an assessment of the extent of damage at the stadium and the cost to repair it, and you won't believe it is in excess of $6 million to restore everything at the stadium, the VIP booths, the towers, our perimeter fence, and everything that was affected by the storm, to do it in a more climate resilient manner. I can give the commitment that as a minister responsible and as government, we will do everything within our reach and power and ability to ensure that we can recover. We can ensure that the stadium roof is reset before the end of the first quarter of 2018.
Meanwhile, sports coordinator here revealed that more than half of school programs might be affected as a result of the passage of Hurricane Maria.
With the passage of Hurricane Maria, a decision had to be taken to forego a number of the set programs. The decision made was mainly a cost-cutting measure in order to divert funds towards the rebuilding effort. It must be noted that all the planned youth programs are catered for in the recurrent expenditure. As a result of this decision, close to 60% of the programs are set for cancellation. And I'm saying they are set for cancellation, reason being the decision in most part is a financial one, and the division has embarked on a drive to seek funding for the programs from non-government entities. So there is still a possibility that some of the programs will be held.
The Ministry of Sports will have its hands tied with lots of work as it continues to chart the way forward for sports development in Dominica. The minister responsible for sports says her department is targeting the end of first quarter in 2018 as a deadline for a major renovation aspect of Windsor Park Sports Stadium. Reporting for Channel 5 News, I am Kenny Williams.
The Jamaica Defence Force has singled out Flo Dominica for recognition in light of what they describe as excellent service during their stay here post-Hurricane Maria. Major Carl Clark, who led the JDF contingent here, presented a plaque to Flo's General Manager Jeffrey Baptiste and explained the reason for the recognition. He said, quote, "We were extremely grateful to Flo for their generosity in providing my team with handsets and complimentary credit to facilitate effective communication, a critical requirement to the efficient and timely execution of our duties." Major Clark further complimented the company for providing good telecommunication service in spite of the challenges posed to the company's network following the hurricane. He said, quote, "We were able to use our Flo mobiles to communicate on the job with our families back home, which again was of vital importance to us, and for this we are grateful to the company." Flo's General Manager Jeffrey Baptiste accepted the award and thanked Major Clark and the JDF for recognizing what he said was a natural decision to support the contingent while here to provide support to Dominica. He said, quote, "We felt an obligation to help the Jamaica Defence Force with their request for telecommunication support at a critical time when our island needed the assistance of the regional forces to maintain law and order in our country following the devastation and disorder created by Hurricane Maria. The full contingent of the Jamaica Defence Force are back home after approximately 2 months in Dominica. And the impact of Hurricane Maria has made it a little more difficult to feel the Christmas ambience, the Christmas spirit this time around. Scotiabank has been doing its part in making sure the children who were most traumatized by the hurricane experience some level of normalcy. The bank staff, not management, held a special event for the children of Castle Bruce Primary School on the weekend, and from what we see, it was well attended.
Well, as a staff, we decided to come together and see, based on the affected areas of Dominica, we as a staff, not just from the bank, but from a staff perspective, who we can help and what we can do. And so just on Wednesday, the staff came together and said, look, Castle Bruce has had us hit. What can we do to show our appreciation with the community? And so all the staff came together, contributed financially to make this endeavor happen. This one was just for Castle Bruce. It's based again on staff. So as time happens, if the staff is motivated again to do another community, we'll be more than happy to give. So again, this came out of the staff support. We had one staff from this area, Marlene, who told us about the situation around Castle Bruce, and she motivated the other members of staff. While management we gave our support, but she motivated the other members of staff to give. And so we all contributed financially. So whatever was raised, we all bought gifts and had food packages put together and give to the children.
To end the news, the headlines again. The DAIC welcomes the lifting of the curfew but wants fiscal incentives and an investigation into post-Maria policing. Hurricane Maria sends government back to the drawing board after they approve $8.2 million for sporting facilities, and concern in the bay oil industry over sourcing funding for reviving that business. This has been the Channel 5 News. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris, thanking you for joining us and inviting you to join us again tomorrow.